What's up, guys? It's your boy James, aka 68J, coming to you on this amazing Wednesday. And I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, my brother from another mother, the one and only Ray Fuentes. What's up, my friend?
Hey, 6 May J, thank you very much, sir. It's quite the pleasure to be on your show, and to be. We had the pleasure of brushing elbows at the XRP Las Vegas conference, and you're about twice the size of me. But being in this virtual box, I feel like I'm on I'm eye level with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and dude, I was just telling you backstage that you and Snakey were two of the hardest working guys. You guys were just running around everywhere. I mean, with those long sticks and cameras, man, it was just so amazing to see you work the way you are, and also been following you and your content and seeing other people praise you for who you are and what you do. But you know, before we actually get started about crypto or anything with XRP Las Vegas 2024, let's get into who is Ray Fuentes prior to crypto, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. You know, I've had the privilege of sharing my story in the settings of speaking on stage at the Freedom Conference with Coach JV and other opportunities. My name is Ray Fuentes. Again, thanks for having me on stage. I'm 37 years old, 36. I'm getting old enough to where I'm starting to forget. But I've been I was in commercial insurance for 10 years before dipping my toe into this new and emerging distributed ledger technology ecosystem. Let's call it cryptocurrency, blockchain. And I've had the pleasure and the honor and the privilege of brushing elbows with the likes of you and others in the space. I've been very fortunate to have mentors such as Bradley Kimes, aka Digital Perspectives, DAI, as mentioned, Coach JV, the Bearable Bull, and so it's been quite the experience where I was one, consuming the content and joining these VIP programs to being in the same room or in the same virtual webinars as they were for being hosted by even my former employer, Link2, where
Okay.
yeah, where I was in these virtual settings saying, hey, if I'm in the same room or environment as these prominent content creators, then what's stopping me from being able to share the same information and get this information out to the masses and do so that would resonate with my community. But ultimately, similar to you, James, when I realized that I was in the same arena as some of these guys, I said, hey, why don't I start my own YouTube channel? And I had done so. I started a YouTube channel called Welcome to Salt Creek. I live not too far from one of my home beaches here called Salt Creek in Southern California.
Okay.
And so I made content around obviously these new and emerging trends, how to navigate this Web3 ecosystem, and then and combining that with my Rayness, family vibes, health, wellness, and fitness, and just created a channel around that. And at this time, I had came into the money in commercial insurance. As mentioned, I was sold business insurance, workers' comp, and liability to large firms throughout the states. And it came into the money. Our agency had ultimately sold. And so at this time, it was probably around 2020. It was before COVID and going through that experience. And so I basically had some capital to experiment with these new and emerging payment rails versus traditional investment vehicles as well. And during those experiments, I got to see which assets were outperforming others. And really, as everyone knows, crypto is a volatile asset class of alternative investments. But what was interesting was they were just as volatile as some of the traditional investment vehicles that I was invested in, products, even with BlackRock. And so I was just like, if I'm young enough to take risk, and why not just go full speed into digital assets? And so, wow. Yeah, this was 20. Now we'll take a step forward. Unfortunately, the COVID came into. We all experienced COVID and the lockups, and so I was at a traditional insurance brokerage firm, and we're still dependent on fax machines. And here, here I'm investing into these emerging assets. Data is moving at the speed of a text message. Money value is as well, and so it's like I sat down with my pops, who I worked alongside with for those 10 years, and I said, "Hey, Dad." It was really tough for me because I love my pops, and there's nothing like you know, I have an adopted sister, James, who has never seen her parents. And
Wow.
meanwhile, and yeah, so on one spectrum, there's, you know, people don't have relationships with their parents for whatever reason. And me, I had the wonderful opportunity to not just have a relationship with my pops, but also get to work alongside him and see how he operates and just build that relationship, take it even further. And so I got to do business with my pops.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it was great. And so anyways, it was just tough to sit down with him and say, hey, I'm gonna leave this firm and I'm gonna go on my own. Because I imagined, you know, I would be working with him till he retired and take over his book and just, you know, go with the flow, easy living. But ultimately that wasn't fulfilling for me. And so I wanted to fight for my investments. I wanted to get into this new and emerging economy, or these and fight for and share my experiences with the world. I mean, we have the ability to do that just right here with these new tools and resources like YouTube. And so transitioning from that traditional brokerage firm, never using Zoom, not using any of these resources to now having a microphone stand in my face right now and some colorful lights. But really that's who I was just a commercial insurance agent for a decade, coming right out of college. But to take it actually one step further, why I even focused on or believed in these new and emerging technologies was because in college, I did start a business in my final year at Cal State Fullerton in the entrepreneurship program. I started a backpack company where I had backpacks manufactured in China. So I had the experience of using the Swift network, seeing all the friction, having to pay additional money to cover the exchange rate during that transaction, which left a bad taste in my mouth because I was using my savings to pay for and fund my startup. And so I just got to see firsthand the friction in the payments system globally. And it just didn't make sense because at the same time, that's right when Alibaba was launched and I was able to source manufacturers from the other side of the world, but just the payment rails were not there yet. And so now here we are a decade later, because I was around 2011 when I started Rosa Packs. And, you know, what was great though, is I started that backpack company, sold all my units and donated all the profits towards taking foster kids on field trips and providing the same opportunity that my parents had done so for my sister and me included. It was great. We got to go on the ice at the Kings Stadium here in LA and go do slap shots before the game, go do fishing, going on charter boats and took some kids fishing.
Wow.
It was a really good time.
Yeah. You never know what those type of efforts mean to a young person. And definitely says a lot about your character, who you are, what you stand for, and the type of upbringing that you had. So shouts out to your parents, shouts out to your dad, and definitely to yourself for giving back in that way. It definitely says a lot about you. But so you got into crypto, if I'm hearing right, around 2020?
Yeah, I would say that was when I made my first investment. Obviously, I was aware of Bitcoin, let's just say, well before that. I believe I stumbled upon it when there was the website, you know, Stumble Upon, and I said, what is this internet money? But, you know, as
Did I lose you there, Ray? Did I lose Ray or did you guys lose me? I don't know. Either something happened here. Did I lose Ray? Let's see here. I think Ray, is it me or Ray? Can you guys give me a message? Is it me or Ray that froze up? Can anybody tell me? Can somebody let me know? Is it me or Ray that actually froze? Ray froze. Okay, so Ray, let me send him a message real quick. Looks like his internet, he might have to log back on. Let me let him know real quick. I said, it looks as if you froze, as if your internet. Try logging off and back on. Okay. So guys, Ray will be logging back on right now. It happens, you know, you got to love the internet, right? So while he's doing that, I've got some a couple of things I can share until Ray gets back on. And the first thing is we have obviously we have Quincy and Linda P. Jones, for those of you guys who don't know, that's coming on the show. next week. So Linda P. Jones is on Tuesday. Quincy from XDC Foundation will be on Wednesday. But I just got some information here, and I want to share with you guys that, let's see, Linda P. Jones, that she's actually going to be coming on as another addition to Ladies Night. So Ladies Night will include the one and only multi-million-dollar author and award winner Linda P. Jones will be on, along with Molly Elmore, World Be Free, Graham Glam, Maya, and it'd be co-hosted by myself and my other sister there, Optimistic Prime. So I'm really looking forward to that, guys. Again, it's going to be one heck of a ladies' night. I'm really excited about that. So we'll give Ray some time to get on. And until he does, let me say what's up to the family here. Ray should be back on just momentarily. Joe Booty, is that how you said Budai? Imagine he is just fake. This is smart of you to do ladies' night. Quick way to build a network. Well, I appreciate that. And also an amazing way to allow women's voices to be heard, which is the motivation behind it for sure. Slippery Pickle, what's up, my brother? Slippery Pickles in the house. So what's up, Ray? I got my brother Optimistic Prime. Yeah, that's her name, Optimistic Prime. She's awesome. And one of the ladies that comes on Ladies Night as well. He froze. Yeah, he froze up. Okay, I just want to make sure that it wasn't me. Shouts out to my brother Jonathan McFadden. Man, my little dude. Appreciate him. He's not so little, but my youngest brother. So I'm really excited about. My phone's been blowing up ever since I let the rest of the ladies know that Linda P. Jones is coming up. I've been getting crazy messages just nonstop. Shouts out to Crypto OG. Shouts out to ABZ. How you doing, ABZ? We've got Yusef El Bebe in the house. We've got over 329 people standing by. So hopefully we'll get Ray. Let me see if he actually messaged me or not. Okay, he should be coming back on here shortly. I'm sure he'll log back on. Let's see here. Yeah, so these things happen, guys. Who else do we have on? We have XRP Magnificent. Gotta love it. Kenny G, my man, Bullish Kenny G. Appreciate you in a major way. OMC, guys. We've got, let's see, Sean Thompson. Just give me a chance to say hello to everybody. Carmichael, my brother. Definitely appreciate you guys in a major way. So, Quincy's Quincy's like a young Einstein is what he is. So that's going to be a very interesting. Linda P. Jones is very smart. So yeah, we've got Linda P. Jones. I'll actually, until we get Ray back on, I'll give you guys a little bit of a heads up on who's coming on. So we've got Linda P. Jones coming on Ladies Night. That's going to be this week. Today is Wednesday. As of Thursday, let me see if I have someone on Thursday that I can actually mention while we're waiting for Ray to come back on here. So Thursday we have Brooke. So we have Graham Glam, which is Brooke. She's the one here on the very bottom left. She's going to be coming on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then Friday will be Ladies Night. Saturday and Sunday will be to be continued. And so here's Ray. Ray's back on. So let's get back into the show here. Okay. We're back with you. Can you hear me, Ray?
James, I'm so sorry, sir. My internet just shut off.
No, you're good.
Somebody's trying to keep us from talking about that alpha.
That's what it is, bro. No, I don't remember exactly where we're at, but I believe it was you got in. So you discovered, if I'm not mistaken, you discovered crypto on your own. It wasn't like something that was referred to you.
No. I remember sitting in my cubicle at work and figuring out how do I get out of this cubicle. But ultimately, I once I saw Bitcoin go up to 20K and then regress back down to $3,000. That was where I said, okay, something's here. Now this is a little bit more. I can take a bite of this. Afford one Bitcoin. And then go along with that ride. So I got exposure, wrote it up to $30,000, and then but during that I didn't just invest in Bitcoin. On Coinbase I just invested in the top 3 at the time, and it was Bitcoin, I believe, XRP, and Ethereum.
Gotcha.
And so those were the 3 that I had gotten exposure into, and then ultimately I just noticed, when trying to move my assets such as Bitcoin from Coinbase to cold storage wallet, that it took almost 40 minutes for the transaction to settle. So at the time I'd make the transaction, and by the time I got to my girlfriend's house, it still wouldn't be there. And I'd be sweating bullets on that whole drive up to her house. And it just identified that this wasn't a system that was scalable for really processing transactions like everyone thought it would.
Right.
And so, so it's so understanding that could be a store of value, sure, why not? But ultimately, an asset like XRP that settles transactions in 3 to 4 seconds, that's something that makes more sense. And so, understanding that I needed to know more about the fundamentals of the companies or those assets that I had invested in, rather than just doing starting off with a shotgun approach.
Right.
And because, we got to know, who's created the tech, why, where's the company domiciled. So then after, getting exposure and shotgunning into these assets, I, discovered more about the company Ripple, who's behind XRP, and how they, got to where they were with the XRP, understanding it was gifted to them from the company, believe OpenCoin. And so you just start seeing some trends, who funded who, and those understanding or being mindful of where the money came from. I used that to also guide me with where I wanted to go as for employment as well. Awesome. And so, I saw Founders Fund was behind some other really great entities that I was really, I'm really appreciative to have had experience working for a company named a New Front. They were an insurtech firm, and that was my transition into the insurtech environment before making my way to Link2. And yeah, it was a great experience. Wouldn't change for the world. And the most important was just the many relationships that I've built and have been fortunate to maintain. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I love the story. And let's kind of shift away from like, let's say XRP. We're going to get right back into that, but let's talk about the fact that you were down there. You met some incredible people. First of all, let me ask you this: give me your overall view before I even get into this next question, because it's a big one. But talk about XRP Las Vegas 2024 for the person that may not have been able to make it. Why was it so phenomenal to you? What did you take out of it? And why should someone look forward to getting there next year?
Well, absolutely. It was kind of like, John Deaton had said it best, where it was the perfect blend of community and education, and, embodied by that, just the incredible energy in the room. It's really great and really productive, to be with like-minded people. And it could be a little bit of a, everyone's saying the same thing, so a little bit of an echo chamber, but at the end of the day, I believe we're all in target, and we need to just remind ourselves of the fundamentals, because it's very easy to get distracted or derailed, especially with a lot of narratives and FUD out there. And so we just got to remember what we hold and stay true and keep fighting, fight for our investments.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, you brought up a name, John Deaton, and I want to talk about what he means to you. Obviously, I know what he means to me. I know what he means to the XRP community. But talk about what John Deaton and his pursuit of the truth and fighting for the underdog. And I mean, obviously, you either read his book or you heard about his book. But I have a lot in common with the guy, coming from nothing, coming from the hard knocks, welfare, and all that stuff. So I definitely resonate with who he is as a person. But what does he mean to you? What do you think his race for Senate means to the cryptocurrency space as a whole?
Well, I actually have the Food Stamp Warrior on the bookshelf right behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of getting it even signed by John Deaton at a Link2 hosted event surrounding the Ripple Proper Party in New York last year. Wow, and nice. Yeah, I've had the opportunity and privilege to interview him a few times, and brush elbows with him over the weekend at the XRP Las Vegas. But I mean, he's the standard that I believe this country needs. Sure. He's, like he mentioned, Elizabeth Warren is not going to outwork him. The guy's out. He's campaigning in the rain. He's getting in the trenches and getting in there getting in with people like you and I, like yourself. I remember my parents, we ate nothing but tuna, rice, and corn growing up. And yeah, it was, I was right there with you, brother. Like, fortunately, my parents, we were talking about this last week, where they were in the food line at churches. And so, having those experiences just resonate with me as well, just as an individual, because, we share similar struggles and also similar beliefs. I've had the opportunity to hear him speak a few different times, and like he said, he's just a guy that's never going to sell out, and I believe that, and he's just a guy that also is put his arm over you and just shoot the shit. And that's what I really appreciate. Meanwhile, you have Elizabeth Warren talking out of one side of her mouth and flying in her jets, hiding behind people when the media has got their eyeball on her. And so it's just you don't see John doing that. If anything, I recorded him over the weekend at a Link2 private event catering to Link2's top investors on the platform, and he. And I was recording him, and I posted it online. Your audience can go to my Twitter page and go check it out. Ray_Fuentes 1111. And but after the fact, I talked to John and I said, "Hey, John, I hope you don't mind, sir." There we go. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
I hope you don't mind, John. I posted your speech on my Twitter page, and he goes, "Ray, thank you. I go up on stage thinking that I'm always on camera now, and what I say, I stand behind, and I appreciate you for supporting me, and that was really great because it just shows how much of a class act he is, and he means what he says, and he's not afraid to hide behind what he says. And so,
absolutely.
And plus, he's a man that represented 65,000 people in the XRP in the Ripple case, and so and like he said many times, he's never taken a dime, outside of his campaign. And so
that's right. Yeah, no.
So he's a guy that I believe, and I would never want to piss off too after reading his book. but ultimately, John has my vote, and I've definitely donated towards his campaign at Deaton4Senate.com.
Absolutely. No, great overview of who he is and what he means to you. And I feel the same. And we have a lot in common. All three of us have a lot in common. And I want you guys to do me a huge favor. Go over to my brother, Ray Fuentes' X page, formerly known as Twitter, is at Ray_Fuentes 1111. And in addition to that, I want to shout out Josh with Dad Bods. He's a CFO. He's been a member of for 11 months. I appreciate you big time, my brother. It says much love to the Crypto4Life family. Please take time to hit that button, tap that icon, and share with your friends. I appreciate you, Josh. Also, I saw that I think it was Crypto OG said, say what's up to my buddy Ray. So
awesome.
Yeah. So, and I think all you guys, there's over 515 people in just 20 minutes watching live on X and on YouTube. I know that number's going to grow, but I appreciate you guys in a major way. Also, do me a huge personal favor, guys. Go over to our Crypto4Life page. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and notification bells so you guys don't miss any of the incredible information that we're doing. We go live each and every day. We have some of the most amazing interviews, like Ray Fuentes, like John Deaton's going to be coming on. We've got Linda P. Jones. We've got Quincy. We've had some extraordinary people
awesome.
on the show. So guys, make sure you do that. And one last request, go over to my friend Ray Fuentes's, I believe it's Linktree. You guys can see everything about Ray. He has Ray Fuentes Substack is Link2 platform where you can save some money there. I Trust Capital, Uphold Wallet, Unstoppable, all that good stuff. If you want to connect with my man Ray, let's get right into the.
I appreciate that, James. And then also I just posted my first YouTube channel under Ray Fuentes TV, which I'll put in there shortly. But it was a recap of the XRP Las Vegas conference.
Okay.
Yeah, I was able to interview Quincy. I was able to interview Jason Cousins from Glint. I was able to interview former CFTC chairman Christopher Giancarlo. And I'll be posting those shortly this week on my YouTube page as well. So
nice.
It was really great to be in the rooms with all those guys. They're all great people. And I've had the opportunity to even have an acting career in the past. And one of my acting coaches at the time said, if you ever see somebody in the acting industry that's typically at the top, go up and talk to them, because they typically made it there because they're a good person or they've got something going for them. And the same rules apply. And everybody in the room at XRP Las Vegas, I believe, had good intentions and is just wanting the best for not just themselves, their family, and their neighbors, but the whole world.
Yeah. So you did some acting. I didn't know that. Now, where did you did acting school? Where in LA?
Oh, it was no, I went to Cal State Fullerton for university, but I had just the aspirations of acting, and I was able to I got picked up by ICM, one of the top agencies in the world, and
nice.
Sent on my first audition to Days of Our Lives, and I I tanked the audition because it was my first one, and
Hey, brother, hey, we got some stories. Yeah, I can share some stories. I can share some stories with you. But yeah, so did you get on any type of show? You said you bombed the Days of Our Lives. Okay,
I ended up getting, you know, having to go to a different agency, but then I got picked up and starred in a few different commercials from Corona to Pizza Pizza Hut, and it was then the auditions for Skinny Cow and all that fun stuff. But I was living in Southern California, in Newport Beach at the time, which was about 2-hour drive to LA with traffic. And so the 4-hour drive there and back, it took a lot of time. And so during those 2-hour drives on the freeway, it was like, you know, is this my calling? Is this really what I want to do? Do I want to drive up to LA and do these, pretend I'm a vampire? Like, or do I want to start a business? And like I did with the backpack company, in which I ultimately did.
Yeah, my brother who's here, Jonathan McFadden, he's here. He owns an acting school, but he was in commercials and TV shows and movies. He did the whole thing. I was actually coached by Alan Autry, who was the sheriff in Heat of the Night, the big old sheriff that stood behind Carol O'Connor. And he was my acting coach. So I did all that. I got into acting, did commercials, did the first episode of The District with Craig Nelson, did some small stuff, some extra stuff. And I think for me, the biggest part that I took away from it was the schooling, being taught by Alan Autry, and also by Stuart Kwan, who passed away, rest in peace. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I was one of those guys that always wanted to challenge myself, and if I got bored with something, you know, I had to find something else to kind of challenge. Like after basketball, I was like, okay, what can feed that thing that I need to be out there? And so it was the camera. Then I got on stage and I started speaking, as far as, you know, traveling the world doing that. So I mean, yeah, it's amazing when you got that burning desire, but at some point that reality check kicks in and says, okay, look, I'm not going to be Denzel, so maybe I need to find something else to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I had gone to the Constitute, Leslie Kahn, or the Constitute, because I tanked the audition with Marnie Seisha, the NBC, the casting director of NBC, and so I asked her, I said, you know, well, how do I improve for the next audition? She says, I recommend you go to try this lady Leslie Kahn, or the Constitute. And so that's where I honed in on the craft and then improved upon. But then ultimately that drive was treacherous, and I wasn't moving to LA. I wasn't leaving the beaches of Newport Beach. But to your point on being able to play a sport and things that, or, you know, playing at that level of NBA, kind of what, you know, I played JUCO ball and baseball my entire life, up until junior college. Nice. But ultimately I like I had told some other individuals on this journey into digital assets, or especially in the XRP community, the camaraderie is similar to playing on a sport. It's being a part of something greater. And that's what I really appreciate about being part of the XRP community, because it's a close, tight-knit family, and it's just a lot of good vibes being shared, and then it's being a part of a team. I miss it. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, you brought up Ripple, and you seem like the kind of guy that likes to do his research. I'm a big fan of doing my own research, you know, doing my due diligence, and not just throwing money, you know, like it's a casino. So, but you talked about Ripple, based off of the information and the research you've done, and obviously I know the answer, and probably many others as well, but would you say Ripple's a legitimate company, a great company? And if so, why?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ripple is a great company from the top down. Their leadership is solid and staffed with a team that's gifted with an Ivy League pedigree. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is a Kansas boy with a Harvard MBA. He's also a former executive from AOL and Yahoo. Ripple's president, Monica Long, she's also from management at Intuit, which is the parent company of TurboTax and Mint. Ripple CTO David Schwartz has a background in cryptography, formerly working with, I believe, entities like the NSA or the National Securities Agency, and their responsibilities is analyzing foreign communications and data for foreign and domestic intelligence and counterintelligence purposes. So, I mean, it's like Big Brother, and David is also the creator of the XRP ledger and developed, I would say, part of the development process of Bitcoin. So I believe him as an individual is very familiar with the advancements of the technology and navigating these global markets. But Ripple, the company, which, aims to be the Amazon of crypto, is collaborating with central banks from all around the world. So I believe the last time I checked that they had partnerships with more than 20 central banks. That's about 10% of the central banks worldwide. And I believe that there's probably even more relationships that they just aren't even talking about due to NDAs. So I believe that they are pioneering this new tech. I mean, more relationships. You're seeing a migration of some very decorated individuals, formerly from government, Rosie Rios, the 43rd treasurer, now she's wearing Ripple's colors. So it's this just doesn't happen. These people don't just move to a startup that is being sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, while being sued. And so I believe that these are the necessary steps for an entity like Ripple to become institutionalized and rooted in the future of the global financial system. I mean, they are also responsible for pioneering the ISO 20022 payment repository. And a part of those or participants of that repository are companies like Visa and other prominent entities that are processing payments or that are conglomerates or representatives of other countries. And so I just think that, they've got the head nod from the G20. And I believe that, Brad is consistently going to Davos or in the same rooms with the likes of Christine Lagarde and others. And so that just doesn't happen. And what also doesn't happen is us being in the room with an individual like him. And I believe that even having to complete the KYC verifications of 2Tix, who was doing the ticketing process, there was reasons for us having to do that as well. You even heard David Schwartz on stage say, "I know everybody in this room." When he said that, I was just like, bing. And so these guys, this is a very well-organized operation. And I feel like things need to occur for them to become that, maybe the next lender of last resort, who knows, but that would be the entity which provides liquidity even to the banks. And so and for that to happen, there needs to be some type of, I don't want to say some type of event that is defined in our legal framework, and the vehicle to do so is this very lawsuit. I had exposure into many cryptos once I got my toe wet. I was using cold storage wallets like EliPal, the Descent, Ledger. I have all three, tucked away as soon to be relics. But when you see all of this, it's just, there's only one way this is moving. And but where I was getting at is when I had exposure in all these assets, once this case dropped, I said, you know what? I repositioned myself into being heavy XRP. Probably wasn't the best move because ultimately everything else popped right after that, rather than XRP. But ultimately, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been as engaged in this community. And so, I'm XRP, XLM, FL Flare, and a few others, XDC. That's kind of where I've been focusing my attention, not financial advice.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you brought up several great points. The first thing is, I talked to Joel Nelson about this as well. You hit home, you hit it home with, why is Ripple an amazing company? And with the type of, kind of like what you were saying back in when we had that decline, that retracement, that massive retracement from 68,000 to 15,000 and some change, when all that happened and was exposed with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Obviously, there was a lot of fear. There's a lot of projects that crashed or retraced, some that don't exist today, a lot of banks that collapsed. There's a lot of CEOs that ran away. There's a lot of companies that moved out of the country. There's a lot of people who were being laid off, a lot of scams that were coming to the forefront. And doing all that, Ripple seemed to thrive. They seem to keep growing. They seem to keep expanding. And you got something else you want to add?
Oh, yeah, no, to your point, they consolidated, they acquired assets. And so, that's where we're going to start seeing, who's essentially the cream rising to the top, and which players are going to be around for the long haul. Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I agree with you. And it really speaks to who they are. Brad never wavered, always first class, never sacrificed integrity for growth, always stood on what he was saying. Joe Casson, when you look at the type of people that you brought up, the Rosie Rios, the 43rd treasurer of the United States, all these different things, it's like, who joins a scam? Who joins a joke? Who joins something that's going to be a rug pull? I mean, and one of the biggest things that's always baffled me is why don't more people see it? Because you got so many people in this space, Ray, and only a small percentage believe in what Ripple Next. And I think more probably believe than they're willing to admit. They probably just got bags backdoor and they're talking about the things they want to shill. But at the end of the day, you can't deny it. It's not going anywhere. And I say this, where it seems like it's getting really muddy for a lot of people right now. I mean, the SEC throwing these well notices out like it's candy on Halloween. They're just ridiculous. They'll sue everybody and anything they can. You see, as people going into the swamp, it seems like we're coming out of the swamp. We're starting to clean our shoes off. It's starting to get a little bit more clear that we see into this thing. And I don't think that there's no doubt in anyone's mind, as even Stuart already posted, I think it was yesterday, this is coming to an end. And then you made a couple other comments about the things that we know, a percentage of the institutions that we're a part of. But, it's not here's what's exciting. It's not just what we know, right? It's what we don't know.
Yes.
And a lot of times I don't get religious or political in this, but no matter how good something is, no matter how phenomenal something is, people are going to hate on it no matter what. People aren't going to like it no matter what. I mean, look, we had a guy by the name of Jesus walk the earth back in the day, and people saw him and still didn't believe. So it could be amazing, and people are still going to say, I don't know. I just don't. And so, hey, to each his own. But at the end of the day, I do believe that what's getting ready to come is special. I'm not saying just on the XRP level. I think on the total front, it's really sad that we have a country that we put so much love and we have so much love and admiration for that just hasn't shown that back. And in this crypto journey, I've seen more scandal and fraud come to the forefront that maybe I was just ignorant to the fact, or maybe I wasn't paying attention to, that now is just getting exposed. And that's why the SEC looks so stupid. And that's why people are laughing at us here in the United States. But
it doesn't make sense where, Gary Gensler, who's now the chair of the SEC, is, or who came from MIT, was a big advocate for XRP and Ripple, to now, having
and algo and a lot of things. He was very,
yes, sir. And so, and now, not even acknowledging or pointing out flaws where it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. So maybe that's by design. I
don't want to cut you off, but sure. When Gary Gensler came to SEC, people were excited.
Yeah.
People were actually excited for Gary Gensler getting that job. That's what's so crazy. And you said you don't understand, but I think what it is that he is acting outside of his own beliefs. I believe he's acting like the 2024 version of a Pinocchio. He's being strung along, and there's a puppet master, and they're carrying out whatever they want to carry out through the SEC because they understand that they can. I mean, what other body, if you call the SEC, I don't know what the hell you call it, but can sit in front of Congress and not say something and ignore calls. And I mean, just the power. I mean, I don't know about you, but I sat around going, how the hell does this guy have all this power? How can he not? And now you're starting to see the whole time he wasn't speaking. Now it's coming out that he knew the whole time that they thought Ethereum was a security. It's like they're a lot, but we'll get into that. I don't want to get too much into the Ethereum thing. We'll go back to that, but let's get into something that I think would touch your heart as well. As I saw you running around that event this weekend with the camera, Fruition Productions. I want to talk about what they're doing. Maya and Chris are amazing people. Maya will be on this week, Friday, with Linda P. Jones and many others. Molly Elmore on Ladies Night. Shouts out to all those who are part of Ladies Night. Make sure you guys don't miss it. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, Crypto4Life. But
brilliant.
One of the things with going into the whole ordeal with that is Gosh, I lost my train of thought for a second.
About Fruition Productions?
For Fruition Production. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is what this documentary means. Now, you're somebody who gets behind the camera. You're somebody who likes, that scene. What do you think they're doing on the level that they're doing that? Because I want to say this real quick. Number one is they use their own money. They got no funding. They use their own money. These guys made millions. They could have been in the shadows, but they came to the forefront. And then, in making this incredible documentary with some of the most brilliant minds in the space, and I'm not saying that just because I got into it, by the way, let me stop. But no, some of the greatest minds in the space. But the fact that they're getting ridiculed by some, loved by many, it's just really part of the process. But I think overall, this is going to be something that will be a part of our history. A lot of us, we go back and we look at Bitcoin back, and it looks all, weird, like it wasn't filmed very well. But I think this is going to be an iconic documentary, not just in crypto, but just globally, for people to understand what we've gone, because what we're going through right now, I think is going to be legendary. I think when people look at that documentary and realize that it came out at a time where XRP was 50, 60 cents, and all of a sudden you look at it, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 500, maybe it's 1,000. I think it's going to be looked at as an iconic documentary. I want to get your take on what it means to you and what it means to the space.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like that moment where it was the Bitcoin investor or the gentleman where he watched the price for Bitcoin go above, I believe, $100 and this is on another scale, because obviously you're gonna have the community behind it. And we've been fighting for a long time. But to your point is, even I was looking at this production is beautiful. These guys are very talented. You said Nick and Chris and Maya. So I had the pleasure of, I didn't get a chance to meet Chris only because he's running around meeting more important people, but I did have the opportunity to connect with Maya, and they allowed me to hop in front of the screen and do a little bit of and share my story. I might have rambled a little bit longer than necessary, just because there's so much to talk about. I got into the space. I became a top investor on Link2's platform, got into the room with DAI and Brad Kimes, and then I became an employee of Link2, and here we are. I'm now flapping my wings and trying to even follow your footsteps and build my own proud community. And so I think it's just to document, or being in the perspective of Fruition Productions, I was almost in a way jealous, because one, they're very talented. I wish I could. I'm using a video. You see me running around with a tripod, but I'm holding it's a tripod holding a cell phone, and that's as far as or as skilled as I can get. But you can do a lot of things now with an iPhone 15, but anyways, but really it's just the act of doing it. So anybody can really run around with a tripod that they can buy off Amazon and start making great production. Right. But regardless, it's about capturing the story, capturing the essence. And these guys have done it very well. I mean, they captured DAI crying, and that was a very moving moment, because it just, you got to see firsthand of one, how passionate the gentleman is, and this is real. I mean, this is affecting millions of people worldwide, if not billions. I mean, you got many people that are unbanked or excluded from the financial system. Yeah. And this is an opportunity for us to extend these resources and tool sets, not just beyond our borders. That's right. And that's where I believe that is where the world's going, and the opportunities that are soon to be had. And back to your question in regards to Fruition Productions, they're capturing the essence of the community. They are including, or being inclusive, including everybody that participated at the XRP Las Vegas conference had the ability to share their story, and that's powerful. So I wonder, what's the text speaks for itself, right? You wonder why people are getting excluded. We're talking about moving almost all the money in the world potentially, and that is going to be, that can't be, no disrespect, that can't almost be for everybody, or maybe it can, but it's got to at least transition to a set of a community that has done their homework, done their due diligence, and understands what they hold. Otherwise, this could get, we can just lose. We can lose the narrative, or lose the story. real quick is, you know, I believe that Ripple is taking up market share from the Swift network, and the Swift network is comprised of people as well, you know? And so this, I believe, is maybe just a transition of the guard.
Now, I want to stay there because you hit a nerve, and you hit a nerve from a that would probably be the same nerve I have, you have, John Deaton has, where we came from nothing. And a lot of times, you know, we believe what we were born into until we don't. You know, a lot of times we have to start questioning, why are we poor? You know, Mom, why are we at this? You know, for Christmas, everyone else got presents, but we're going to the Salvation Army. Why? You know, why do I have to go at 9 years old and go stand in the line to go get cheese and food stamps? You know, all these things, right? You start questioning, how did we get into this predicament? And with those questions come answers, and obviously you can either choose to fight for a better tomorrow or sit back and just accept the hand that you've been dealt. You hit a nerve in the sense that you said, this is the Amazon of crypto. And you heard even Brad Garlinghouse said, where Amazon started with books is where we started with just cross-border payments. There's so much more now, and so are we. People fail to realize that Amazon and even Tesla was drugged through this crap with the SEC, where they had to fight. And once it was over, they both exploded. You know, we talked about DAI talking passionately. I remember Maya and Chris saying that, you know, off camera, they said, you know, he cried for a while and we had to cut it because that's how, you know, how deep of an emotional place that he was at when he was explaining his situation. And I remember Elon getting emotional about when he was talking about the SEC and what they did to him. He goes, I had to pay. I had to do it to save my baby. And it just talks about the bullying system that we have. It's just so
weaponized.
It's weaponized. It's repulsive when you see presidents that love their countries like El Salvador, but we get to a place here where they want to keep people in the matrix. They want to keep people enslaved in a system where you bust your ass, and if you're smart, well, then you go get an education so that you can build somebody's dream on a higher level, because that's really all you're doing. And they don't want you outside the matrix. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want you to stay in this thing where you're trading time for money, and then you just get by, and then you retire on what barely got you by, and then just it's a rotation. Meanwhile, them and their families and their children's children just get rich and get rich and get rich, and that's how they justify $100,000 salary worth $100 million. It just makes no sense. And so, the point I'm making with all that is just talk about. And I want you to talk about this. You know, there's no right or wrong answer. Just if you were speaking to the people out here watching, almost 800 people now live on X and on YouTube, talk to them, Ray, about this opportunity and why they should really try to break. And look, it's not financial advice, sir, but I think that's our jobs. If you got a YouTube channel, if you got an influencer, if you're an influencer, it's not about shilling something that's going to get you rich. It's not about going out. You have to take responsibility for what you're saying. If you hit this button, if you go live, this is a lot bigger than just your own narrative or your own agenda. You know, I always say you can't be phony and sincere at the same time. So what I choose to be, and what I want you to touch on, is what people need to focus on right now, whether it's doing their own research, understanding the opportunity, and because what you said right now, you said most people are going to miss it. I mean, it's right here, and most people are going to miss it. Chasing Shikaka coin, they're chasing, and it's not a coin, I'm just being facetious, but they're chasing something shiny and sexy. Talk about that person that's watching right now, why they should pay attention to what Ripple, XRP, XLM, XDC, ISO, whatever it is, utility coins. Talk to that person right now, Ray, if you could.
You know, I mean, I feel like I do this all the time. From being in a Lyft car and talking to the drivers, to talking to neighbors and sharing, you know, why it's important to think about these things. It's, you know, it all started with even the exposure to the C word, that was the triggering moment where all of a sudden it's like we're losing significant power, and with the inflation and the losing of purchasing power, it's just or real estate going haywire, and we're now priced out of the market. There's just so many factors that we're working against, and you know, digital assets could be that vehicle to remedy some of these friction points for oneself or for the market in whole. And so I believe that, you know, this is an opportunity, a once in a lifetime, once in a generation, for us to seize control of wealth that is potentially transitioning from those that have it to those that don't. I mean, there's just, when you think about how much money is moving around the world, or I mean, because some people just don't even think about it. I think people are by default thinking that I'm good with what I got.
Yeah.
And that's, I think we're conditioned to, you know, which is fine, you know, hey, be thankful for what you have as well. I mean, beyond money, you know, like I've had the ability to have a really great time eating dinner with DEI, Brad Kimes, and a few others when I was working at Link2. When I first went to my very first Bitcoin conference, which is, I can talk about that some more. Yeah. But like I remember smiling from ear to ear, and Brad Kimes goes, "Ray, why are you so happy?" And I'm like, well, man, I get to be around you, and two, it's like, my family's in good health. My parents are still alive, and just things are great, man. I've got a beautiful daughter and beautiful wife. And so it's like, why not be happy? So anyways, where I'm getting at is, you know, it's not always about the money, but here we have the ability to capture some wealth due to these new and emerging technologies. And so that's why I think it's very important. I mean, hey, this could be the opportunity for you to 10x some funds just because you're ahead of the wave. Yeah. And it's all about timing, and yeah. I believe time is on our side. Some of us have gotten here very early. I'm sure, like you and I and others, to the point where it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to also, with this time, also explore some new and emerging alternative assets. Yeah. May they be private equity on Link2's platform, or other emerging assets. And so I believe that this is just a really, really great time where we can leverage some of these new and emerging techs to improve and better upon our lives and lifestyles.
I'm gonna add a little bit to that. And that is, as we're talking to those who are watching, this is not the time to be complacent.
No.
This is not this is when you really, typically when something's transitioning, you go through chaotic, life-changing. There's several things that you go through as it's transitioning to, you know, what I call the evolution of money. Tragic was what we saw with the C word, COVID. I'm going to say what it is, right? And that was almost like a bad dream. It was almost like, as I think about it now, I can't believe that was the normal for as long as it was. Yeah. And then you look at the banks run. I mean, we've never saw that before. Banks shutting down and all the stuff that's going on in the financial system, and the amount of corruption and chaos. I mean, it's overwhelming, but that tells you something is happening special. Mm-hmm. And if you can see past all the fog and the smoke, man, it's an opportunity, Ray, for people like you and I to dream again. It's you know, so many of us, when we were coming up in life, man, it might have been, you know, I've had sisters that, you know, have had children way too early, or family members at 16, 17, or, you know, life gets in the way. Children come to a response. I got to go to get a job. I can't go to college, or whatever that is that kind of derailed you from your dreams. And then we start settling. What happens when you settle is that starts creating depression. It starts creating regret. It starts creating, sometimes turning you into a person you really not, because you're not happy. And it's sometimes one of the hardest things in this world to do is learn to love you. You know, it's hard to love you when you don't feel like you're at your full potential. I think, and I'm not saying crypto fixes all that, but I'm saying it gives you the opportunity to go back and say, okay, you know what? By doing something as simple as just doing a little research. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I did this video the other day. I don't know where, so I wonder if I can actually show it. You know, I'm going to show it. Let me show this video real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's on my X page, and I want people to look at this. And I posted it here not too long ago, but I want you to really look at it, because it's about regret. I wasn't even going to show this, but it's only like a minute or something like that. But it's talking about regret. And you know, sometimes when I'm doing my one-on-one raise, I can be a little comical, but there's a message behind the madness here. And I
just love you have your open chat with Linda. Tell her I say hi when next time you talk to her.
I'm definitely going to do that. Let me see. Oh, you know, I don't think, let me get here no more.
Linda actually texted me yesterday. you know, I posted my first video on YouTube, and she messaged me and she says, "Ray, I'm your 3rd subscriber." And I'm like, man, I'm already a winner
Oh
with,
yeah.
Linda subscribing. But yeah,
No,
she's
she's
a
awesome. I was happy
great
to get her
person.
on. I was happy to get her on with the just the 101, and then I don't want to ruin it, but Fruition just messaged me earlier, and they asked to hook me up with her because I think they're talking about putting her in the documentary, and so
Oh, they should
yeah,
absolutely.
and so in that conversation right before the stream, I said, by the way, would you like to be in a documentary? And by the way, would you like to be on Ladies Night? And she says yes to both. I was like, whoa, okay, well,
Amazing.
that's pretty cool. So, but no, I want you guys to hear something. I want you to really pay attention. If I can doggone find it here.
Yeah, but to your point, it's almost like these new and emerging technologies have
Okay,
reinvigorated the stoke of entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So I want you guys to listen to this, and it just goes back. Now, this is not anything other than just understanding regret. When you listen to this, I want you to understand this is your time. You know, all this I shoulda, coulda, woulda, Ray, it doesn't do anyone any good. Oh, if I'd have got into Bitcoin at $1, you look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I got into Bitcoin at $1, I probably would have sold at 100, like most people. Let's just be straight up. I mean, to say that I'd have kept it to 63,000, really?
Yeah.
So all that was validation to me of greater opportunities for things that were created to be better than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Let's show that right now with this little clip here. So for those of you guys don't understand what stuck is, there's a time Bitcoin was stuck. There's a time that everybody said it was a scam. It's this and that. It's gonna go to, it's trash. It's what are some of the biggest money in the world, huh? Warren Buffett, many others. It's garbage. It's like battery acid. It's cancer. It's okay. All right. Well, back then it was less than $1. And today it's at 66,000 on its way to 100. And just so you understand what it is, you know, stuck is stuck. Sucks. Well, I don't know if you can call a coin that has potential to get up in the hundreds, if not thousands, suck. But we're gonna talk about some things that give that a little more validation. But let's go back and look back in the future. Once upon a time ago, this is a nursery rhyme for you guys. For those people who aren't believers and don't understand how just patience is what you need in this space. Boys and girls, once upon a time ago, guess what? Bitcoin was $1. What's the validation? How about this right here?
Every single one of you buys $1 worth of Bitcoins. Just $1 freaking dollar. Because you're going to be thanking me.
Everybody's well, this is about XRP. No. This is about getting you guys to understand how you feel right now when you hear that. I want you to feel it. I want you to really feel this right now.
Hoping that every single one of you buys $1 worth of Bitcoins. Just $1 freaking dollar.
Bitcoin for $1, XRP for 60 cents. Are you feeling regretful right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to feel regretful in the future? Wake your butt up. Pack those bags. This is for you. Woo!
Does it like it is. Got them switching gears.
Right. So that was, you know, just, and the point of that is understanding the moment. I mean, I have a lot of fun when I'm doing my one-on-ones, you know, by myself. I get all into it because I want to keep people in tune to what we're talking about. But the message is clear. And what I was talking about is going back to the future. You know, a lot of times we don't have a reference. We don't have something that, you know, once you miss the Amazon boat, it's too late. Once you miss the fact that you didn't get to Microsoft or Apple, it's too late. But we've got something that's better than, that was actually purposely created to be better than, faster than this almighty Bitcoin. And people just don't realize it. And they're so caught up with what they missed that they don't understand what's in front of them. I want you to talk about that just a little bit.
Talking about the fact that getting distracted by a shiny object, or
and the fact that, you know, if we can't go back to $1 Bitcoin, but we're in position for something even greater that was created to be better than, because people don't realize Bitcoin wasn't just 50 cents or whatever XRP is now. It was like you could get a handful of it, dozens of it for $1. You know, at one point.
Pennies.
And, yeah, pennies. And so I think one point someone said 1,300 Bitcoin for $1 at one point. So the point I'm trying to make is talk about just understanding that when that 50 something cents is gone, Ray, and we're not financial advisors, I don't know if it's going to come back, buddy.
No, I don't believe that we're going to be sub $1 for much longer. And to the point, the gentleman that was on screen, you know, I've seen him countless times put down XRP and that particular digital asset, you know, hyping Bitcoin only. But I've also seen him capitulate as well.
That's right.
And mention how XRP is great. You know, there's a few things that could potentially, I don't think Bitcoin will ever go below than where it is today. I mean,
No.
I'm sure it'll regress, and then there'll be some more local tops and
Right.
local bottoms, but ultimately we're going up and to the right, especially as more collateral and come onto the chain, and more people become adopting the technology. But I believe that, similar to how the early Ford vehicle, that was a starting point, but now do you see that we're driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis now today?
That's right.
Just because there's evolution in the technology. And so,
Yeah.
I believe that we're seeing that with the new techs that are being built. And, like I had the opportunity to interview Christopher Giancarlo, former CFTC chairman at XRP Las Vegas. And, it's interesting because obviously it appears that the USA is a laggard in the evolution and adoption of these technologies, as other countries and geographies that already have rules and regulations around these technologies and how they're taxed and things of that nature. I mean, they're getting taxed here in the US, no doubt about that, but that's also a signal that this technology is, I mean, I'm having to report my taxes and upload those files of those transactions and pay capital gains or losses. And so, I mean, that already signals where this world is going. They don't just build these systems to then take them down.
That's right.
And the government is going to try and collect their money any which way. And so this is for how much longer this asset XRP is below sub $1, I mean, it was the highest. It's already succeeded past that in the past. And so the high, being
384.
Exactly, mid threes. And so, or high threes. And so I believe that, I believe the market and that we're just in one big cycle right now. I mean, we're obviously in cycles. And so I believe that we're going to see some growth, and I believe that there's going to be an adjustment of liquidity from one network to the next. We heard on stage that by Boone, I forget Boone's last name, but Boone from Blockchain Laboratories, where he identified that, XRPL and other, the XRPL was created being mindful of the energy required to operate the chain. Unlike Bitcoin, which is, XRP is proof of consensus, while Bitcoin is of proof of work, which means that it involves the inputs and processes by the miners and things that require a lot of energy. I believe he said, if you were to bundle up all the Bitcoin mining, it would be the size of, was it Texas or a particular country? But regardless, what if the whole world is adopting Bitcoin, and how are we going to sustain that model? And so, meanwhile, we have other technologies where it doesn't require, I mean, a fraction of that, and then it also operates at a magnitude faster than Bitcoin. And so I think it's only a matter of time till we see the stablecoin regulations, the market infrastructure, and when those chips fall, or when those ducks align, I think that's when we're going to see some hyper growth. And I mean, you can call it the flip of the switch, or you can call it, just a violent move up and to the right, or just pricing it to where it should be, or where it should be. It's funny, because if you think about it, all these tokens or all these software solutions, because they're not tokens, they were created as an experiment, in their various sandboxes, governed by their local rules and regulations, and seeing, okay, how can we navigate these new and emerging trends, or how do we expand upon these techs? How do we improve upon? And so, like I was trying to get at earlier, when speaking with Giancarlo, the CFTC chairman, was I asked him, it appears that the US is behind, but is that, what is the silver lining? Is that really a detriment, or is it a benefit that we are the last to move in the market, adopting or taking the best plans, the best products from the market, and bringing that into the fold. And so I believe that, we're going to see some things like maybe Tether get its wings clipped, or actually have to report some of its its reserves, or how it's, you know, what's on its balance sheet, or how is it actually a stable coin. Meanwhile, we have solutions out there like Circle's USDC, or soon to be Ripple's XRPL, and or stablecoin on their network. I'm very curious of what they're going to name it, but regardless, I think it's only a matter of time, and that we're going to see some price movement up and to the right, and then the understanding that, or the recognition that we as market participants or early adopters of XRP get that recognition that we deserve, and that price movement. But until then, until we see actual utility and real world adoption, we're just going to we're going to see that suppression, and we're going to see these just a movement static. We're not going to see the real movement based on utility. We're going to see speculation, price action based on speculation. And so, but meanwhile, think about this. You know, there's side chains being used by these larger banks leveraging the XRPL. That value isn't being recognized by mainnet. Here we have, you know, Ethereum, where they don't have side chains. All that value's on the main chain, and that's why they have a $3,000 coin. Well, what happens when we see the utility from the side chains on the XRPL move into mainnet? I think we're going to finally see that, you know, the true value that we see with Ethereum. I don't think Ethereum is going anywhere. I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere. I believe that we're going into multi-chain world, and there will be an amount of protocols that provide that real world utility that, you know, we deserve. And until then, you know, we're going to see 20,000 coins floating around there as a distraction, and by design, I believe. You know, I'm not engaged in this whole meme coin movement. I know people, hey, if you want to dabble in that, go for it. And you want to play in the Kaka coin, or the Kaka meme coin, like you mentioned.
Shikaka.
Yeah, Shikaka. But ultimately, I think we're focused on the underlying protocols, and we're focused on that real world adoption, and we're focused on the entities that are leveraging these techs and trying to work within our legal framework to do so. That's where I'm at. And Ripple's got insurance. They're domiciled here in the US. I would want to play with an entity like that than another that's overseas and not reporting their assets on their balance sheet or things of that nature. And so we don't know yet who created Bitcoin, and until we do, I don't really want to invest in something where I don't know the creator. And so,
and if we ever, because it's funny how that seems the big question, the big question. Yet it seems like the one thing the government's all in on, like they actually know who it is. I mean, there's no, you know, they're proving things left and right. So yeah, it kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah, the whole narrative about Bitcoin being for taking down the banks and what's the word I'm looking for? Just basically a libertarian movement. But meanwhile, and also an anonymous chain. That was a narrative of Bitcoin where you could get away with sending or buying drugs online, or potentially child trafficking. Who knows what people were using it for, given that narrative that you can get away with pretty much anything. But really, you know, under the hood, the government, like maybe the NSA and other agencies, were able to see all those transactions and see the bad intentions or things that were going on, the illegal activities. And so I just think this is one of the benefits of blockchain and these new emerging techs, where things are immutable, things are trackable, and with the analytic tools that are at their discretion, they can look back and go retro and see what was going on chain, and things that were not really at their fingertips prior to these technologies, or at least to my understanding.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's some questions we're going to go just bypass because I know we've gone a little long here. We're just over an hour, but I love it, and I think everyone else has loved it. We've got over 900, just under 1,000 people now on
Wow.
X and on YouTube watching live. So, but yeah, you brought up stable coins. Obviously, that's a big move for Ripple. I think Ripple's brilliant in what they do. I think this couldn't have came at a better time. Why not last year? Or it's like why now? They're very strategic and very smart. Like I said, it's the things that we can see, but it's all the things that I can't see is what excites me, to be quite honest with you, because I know that's probably 75% bigger than what we can actually see. I think we see 25% of what's actually there, and I think there's another 75% of things that are, like you said, NDA protected and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but let's talk about that. You said, USDT, that's a funny one because, they've always slipped through their audits. They never have been fully audited. They've always paid fines to have these short audits done. There's a time that there's some publications that came out in which they said they weren't back dollar for dollar until they were. And when you can keep printing money and then taking that printed money and buy up Bitcoin and U.S. treasuries and all these different things, well, guess all of a sudden you can have some kind of value, but what is that value? I'm not really sure. So is that stablecoin very stable, and how will that play out with the Stablecoin Act that's being, trying to be passed right now through Congress? There's even talks that maybe even USDC is not fully compliant based off of those some of the things in that Stablecoin Act. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love the fact that Ripple said that when that does happen, they'll be fully compliant in everything that they're doing. So, but let's talk about that because there's this rumor, this thing, since I've been around, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard it as well, that a big percentage of the altcoins that are around today won't even exist tomorrow. Once they go through, a lot of this stuff. That's why you talk about memes and things. It looks shiny and it's sexy now, but I always think about the turtle in the hair. Fast won't last. But if you want something that is going to be steady and that's going to be around a long time, obviously you want to take or follow that thing that's doing things the right way, dotting the I's, crossing the T's and all that stuff. But let's talk about that. A possible, let's say, .com had a bubble pop. I don't think crypto's had one yet. And I think we've seen some things that where the bubble's gotten thin, maybe a couple of things, we've seen happen like Binance and the Luna and all these things that just bad actors, maybe FTX could be a bad actor. I don't think that's a bubble pop. And I think when it happens, like I was talking to Jake Claver, he was talking about, I said, look, some people are saying 90% of the assets won't be here. He goes, James, I think it's going to be bigger than that. Some of these projects just won't make it. I was on the phone with an attorney this morning talking about someone that I know who were affected by, some scam artists in the space and things like that. So your thoughts on, stable coins, the Stablecoin Act, and maybe even a possible crypto bubble pop if that was even to happen?
No, definitely. We've heard Brad Garlinghouse speak of this. There's tokens that, or yes, we'll call for this sake, for this conversation, tokens, because that's what people are believed that they are, rather they're software solutions. And I believe not all of those are providing a utility. And so I think we're going to see an elimination of those tokens, and we're going to see ones that provide real world utility, those that are actually supporting for their networks. And Ripple has already come out and the XRPL is being used for CBDC, so that's a real world function that they're aiming for. And then you're going to have other use cases that other tokens are going to be facilitating smart contracts and other things of that nature. And so if they're not providing any real world value utility, I think you're going to see if that liquidity hasn't migrated from those chains yet, then they will soon. And hopefully those individuals do so before those trading pairs, which allow them to, aren't eliminated. And so, you'll see probably through the Stablecoin Act and other legislature that it's going to define the direction of the market and where those individuals can actually do business and make those transactions, or what protocols they can actually use or not. And so I think that's where we're headed. And this current paradigm of having 20,000 shiny tokens wrapping around, or these meme coin movements, I think it's only going to be a short time, and maybe, you know, until the legislation or the Stablecoin Act is firmed out, yeah, everyone is then non-compliant because there's no rules to regulate. And so until they are, you know, like a company like Circle, then which I actually haven't heard of. I know that they're reporting their firms. They've got their assets with BlackRock and the BNY Mellons, and they are doing things. They're reporting their attestations, and so I think they're doing everything in their power to stay compliant and work with the banks, just like Ripple has since the very beginning. So, I to your point, I believe there's going to be a bubble. It's going to pop, but until then, you know, I'm still focused on entities that are licensed, insured,
That's right,
regulated, working with financial institutions, and that's kind of where my mind's focused. So if you want to play in the meme game, and that's the equivalent of going to Vegas and having fun, then then entertain yourself. Go for it. But ultimately, we're moving to a place that is regulated, that the banks will soon custody these assets. I mean, even your traditional firms like Citibank are already marketing the fact that they have a digital asset wing within their suite of services. And so, you know, Bank of America is already working with Ripple and other financial institutions. And so it's only a matter of time. And I think everybody's waiting for the regulations. That's all. That's it.
Yeah, I have a shouts out to Tomato Pete just posted something that I actually read on X today, and that was something that came out about the SEC is saying that the new Ripple stablecoin is an unregistered security, and it hasn't even came out yet. It just kind of shows you the magnitude of their corruption and bulliness, and just wanting to do anything they can to shed. I mean, anytime we have a glimmer of positive hope or something that amazing happens, like even when Judge Annalisa Torres came out with her decision, they created all this FUD behind Coinbase and Binance or this lawsuit. And as soon as, you know, it's like one thing happens on the left, they cause a distraction on the right so that we can't be excited about whatever that news is. And I just think this is one more of those things. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that comment that the SEC had said?
No, not yet. I did tune into Good Morning Crypto, and I believe they were talking about this. Abs, Gonzo, and Mario were discussing with Molly Elmore. And I mean, to the point, I mean, how would a dollar be recognized as a security? I mean, this is an asset backed by short-term treasury bills. I mean, that in itself, yes, but not the unit. And so we'll see what happens. But I believe stablecoin regulations are coming sooner rather than later, and that would put entities like Ripple, like Circle, those that are, you know, compliant and working with regulations to thrive and succeed. And so that's where I'm focusing my attention. And I, you know, not a financial advice, but I think people like you and I, that's where we're also looking at as well.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to be on that show on Good Morning Crypto. They invited me on the 15th, so I'll be on with Abs and Johnny Crypto and the crew. So I'm really looking forward to that. But let's take a look at what you just said, because there are some powerful statements. I think it was on like a minute and 30 seconds. Let's take a look at what Molly had to say right there on Good Morning Crypto.
Perfect.
In 2019, Tether got flipped. They were sued in the SDNY, the special district in New York, and it looks like they took a deal. And now Tether, for the last couple of years, has been used by the banking cartel to move money in and out of the United States outside of the legal framework. Right? Tether, no matter what they do, they can't get taken out. They can't get, they're never in trouble, really. It is fascinating why they seem to get this level of protection that no one else has. And nobody seems to work at Tether. Like there was a CEO who was never around, and the CTO, Paolo Ardino or something like that,
the Bahamas,
assumed the CEO role.
I want you guys to pay attention to what she get ready to say, because this is crazy. When I heard this morning, this is absolutely nuts what she gets ready to say, right? The point that she makes right now.
BitBoy even went down to the Bahamas. Oh, that's the other thing. They're offshore, and no one seems to care about that. They went down to the Bahamas, looked at the parking lot, and there was like 2 parking spots, right? So this is a multi-billion-dollar fintech. I mean, think about how many people work at Ripple, like hundreds and hundreds. But there's like 3 or 4 people who work at Tether, and we don't really know much about them. It looks a lot like FTX in that it's a cover for something else, and the people who are really doing the work aren't disclosing that on their LinkedIn profile or whatnot. But I think we will find out the truth one day. I think they're protected until the time when a flip the switch black swan event happens. Tether gets taken out, crashes it, and then the Phoenix merges with the new payment system, right in line with problem reaction solution that they've had in place.
Now, the reason that I brought that up, because when you kind of trigger that when you said it, I actually had it on my page. And I said this for so long. I always said, I don't know if you ever played the game of spades, but in that game, I said there's 4 cards that are pretty much unbeatable if you have them, right? The jack, the queen, the king, and the ace. I believe the jack was what we saw with obviously the whole Luna, that was something that was big. I think the queen was FTX. I think the jack was Binance or FTX. I'm sorry, and then we saw the queen with Binance, and then you had the king. Cells. But then you had the king, which is ETHGate, and I always felt like the last spade in the deck was going to be Tether, and I felt like, because you got to think about it, Ray. Every time that the SEC goes after someone, my friend, they always come back and say they've been looking at them for a while now. So I don't think they don't know what's going on at Tether. I think there's enough people saying it that they do know what's going on with Tether. And I think that they strategically do things like they did with FTX I believe they took advantage of that situation to take control of the market and to do some of the things they've done. I think they're going to take advantage of the whole USDT Tether deal at a time where they want to crash the market. Maybe all the stuff ends with Ripple, XRP. Maybe all of a sudden you see XRP Ripple fly up to $5 or $10. Maybe you see Bitcoin get up right around that 100,000. Whatever. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I've been saying it, man. And right now I'm telling you, I'm batting a 100. Everything I said, and I'm not trying to say I'm something special, but it's like that old kid game. I was talking about it with Joel Nelson yesterday. The game where you connect the dots. It's like at some point you got to get back and look and say, damn, this just is connected. Like it is what it seems to be. Right. And that's a lot of times where you can get the right answer. When it looks like a rat and walks like a rat, it's a damn rat. And so for me, what I see is them playing that ace of spades at a time where they want to retrace the market or hurt the market for bigger gains on themselves. Right. Maybe they sell, maybe they crash the market, they get back. I mean, this is happening all the time. So I love what Molly said right now, because why haven't they been fully audited? Why haven't they been gone after even more? Because I'm sure they've done more than Binance have done. I'm sure they've done things that fall within what Sam Bankman-Fried is sitting there locked up for right now. Your thoughts on what she had to say, Ray?
Well, I think she's 100% right. I believe currently Tether is a swim lane for others to circumvent the traditional methods of sending cash or doing so in a regulated fashion. And I've spoken to individuals about this very given subject, those that I believe are relatively plugged into the scene and in closed settings. And, I believe that it's going to be a tactical demolition of the market. Yeah, and right. So, but at on the other flip of the coin, being that this is an emerging asset class, relatively nascent, and I believe there's real people's money in these markets and real investments, early investors. There's a lot of capital in Bitcoin and some of these early assets. So I believe as much as I think there's just going to be a correction rather than a complete wipeout of the asset. That would be debilitating to this whole asset class. And so I think that it's going to be not. I don't want to say tasteful, because it's we're talking about breaking down. I think it's going to be a strategic takedown or clipping of the wings. Having Tether actually, I don't think Tether's going anywhere. Yeah, and I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere. You hear a lot about the Joe Lubins, and you hear about a lot about others that are at the helm of these entities. But I mean, the underlying tech, the consensus as a company, the parent company of MetaMask. I mean, these are still great companies with great solutions. And so I don't think that maybe people at the helm lost sense of direction, or maybe this was all just by design. Who knows? At the end of the day, I believe we're still focused on the entities and assets that provide real world utility, and then we'll actually, take this to the next step in a compliant fashion.
Yeah, I think not to cut you off, and again, I appreciate. I would say that the only thing that I will have to push a little bit against is that it was something that they had a good. It's like, what's the guy, Epstein? Like, it's almost like saying, well, he bought an island, and his intentions were right, and then all of a sudden, like, a couple girls popped on it. I mean, I just think that these guys knew what the hell they were doing. I think it's all criminal. I think it's all a scandal. I think they didn't throw Stephen Arrow in the back of a van because he knew a couple things. He peeled back. He got a prize out of a Cracker Jack box. No, he knew something, and he knows something, and that's why he's suing for 9-point-something billion. I think it's corruption at its all-time high. I think that it's right in our face. I mean, will they do anything with Ethereum? I doubt it. I think it's going to be along the lines of fines. Unfortunately, because I think they let the monster get too big. I think they let the monster with Tether get too big. I think what they would rather do than to see these companies go out of business. Let me see. What do you do when you let the monster get big and you knew what was going on the whole time? Oh, it's an opportunity to get money. I think it's always, Molly Elmore said it on my show the best. She said, it's like the mafia. You pay to play. Yeah. And with Ripple, they didn't let it get big. They tried to destroy it. With Ethereum, they let it get big, and now they're going to find the hell out of it, and USDT. And the reason that I say that nothing will happen, because look at FTX. The guy's in prison. He got 25 years. He'll be lucky if he serves half. And I think out of the 13 years for being good, he'll probably go in there and teach people how to create meme coins. But at the end of the day, I think he'll serve half of the half. Why? Because there were certain things. I think there's some backdoor deals that were done. Why do I say that? I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, you were going after Kim Kardashian for being part of ETHMax, and you went hard on her, Gary Gensler. But all of a sudden, when it came to that one felony that we all want to know about, where did the stolen money from people, like Metal Lawman said, there were people who called him suicidal, that their lives were destroyed over 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is. What happened to those people's money that were given to politicians? You left that part out. You threw that part out. So where in the hell is the justice in that? So do I feel that Ethereum still be around? Yes. Do I want it to go away? Hell no, I'm invested in it. But regardless, never sacrifice integrity for growth. At the end of the day, I still want justice. I still want the same damn thing that, it's called justice, man. Look what you did to XRP and Ripple. And that's another thing that kind of low-key irritates me, because now you see everybody locking arms, all these platforms wanting to get together and saying, Kumbaya, my Lord, or we are the world, we are the children. Where in the hell was that? When XRP Ripple got sued, where was all that togetherness? So at the end of the day, it just kind of burns my blood, because one of the things that I hate, Ray, and I know you don't know me well, but it's something I've served my whole life, is I hate bullying. I hate bullying. And this is one of the biggest cases of bullying I've ever seen in my life. And so, yeah, we want justice. We have to wake up and understand what we're dealing with, the beast that we're dealing with, which is just a bona fide corrupted system where, they cause all the chaos, and then they offer us a solution, like the damn $1,200 stimulus. Shove that up your butt, because how many millions and billions do you guys keep for yourselves? So at the end of the day, man, it's a big old joke. I don't mean to get on a tangent, but
no, I love it. Thank you.
It just irritates me, because I know what we're in front of, and I know at the end of the day that we were purposely picked on, that we were it's not about the American people. They don't give a damn about anybody who got affected by this lawsuit. They don't give a damn about any of it. And that's why I hope the judge looks at everything that was done in its entirety, and just for once, man, let us see some damn justice, in the sense that, taking consideration that Ripple just spent $100-something million and wasted 3 or 4 years of these people's, of people who invested lives, time, money, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people who lost. There's a lot of people who've been affected. There's a lot of people who got in and had to sell cheap just a little, because of the corruption and the crap that they've done. And that just pisses me off. And that's why I want to see someone like John Deaton in there fighting for the people and for what's right. So, at your height too, you should be getting in there, fight as well, James. Hey man,
my leaving some dents.
Hey, my days are fighting, brother. Like I'm like that's why I've got this double surgery in my hand. Like my days, I'm a Brooklyn guy, so fighting is what got me in trouble as a kid. And I'm gonna leave that alone, because trust me, if it was John Deaton. If John Deaton was president and I was vice president, they'd be in some damn trouble. That's all I got to say.
That's for damn sure.
Let me ask you this: as we got over 1,000 people now watching live on X and on YouTube. As we close this out, where do you see crypto, my friend, in the next 5 years? You've got some crazy numbers by Kathy Wood at ARK Investment. Oh, first she said 1.4 million by 2030. Then she moved it to 1.6. Now she's saying, well, if we get a percentage of what we see out here now, our analytics are saying 3-point-something million by the end of 2030. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'll stick to what Brad Garlinghouse says, and that is we should double or more maybe by the end of this year. Depends on how things go. Maybe we see a $5 trillion market cap, and Bitcoin gets over 100. Maybe we see by default a XRP at a couple dollars or so, because I think it's just going to follow suit. I always say when it dips, we dip just like that, because we're still stuck to the space until we're not, which I think is going to happen once we have utility and we're embraced for what we're created for. But just give your opinion of where you see crypto, my friend, in the next 5 years.
I see XRP being one of the leading assets, along with XLM and other ISO coins or ISO compliant assets protocols. Yeah. I see Bitcoin potentially maybe running on or being transferred on the XRPL, because we're not surprised by the abilities of, we know what the tech can do for the XRPL. I think that Ethereum is still going to be around. I think Tether will be as well. We'll probably see a Bitcoin over 100 grand, but I believe that by that time, 2030, the banks will be custodying the assets. We'll be transacting and paying for things like our mortgage with crypto. Yep. We'll be earning real-time salaries paid in real time. So you'll just see the money go into your account by, potentially every day or as it accrues. I think, because that's what this tech can do. We'll be doing more on-chain activities, like potentially buying or selling real estate on chain. Yeah. We're going to be seeing, a lot of things being done leveraging these new technologies. And so I'm not, it's hard to, we don't know where the price is going, but we know the technology that's being leveraged on these technologies. You got on the screen here, linked to, they're tokenizing private equity. The CEO had came out and said that they were building on the XRPL. I Trust Capital was also at the XRP Las Vegas conference, and they're talking about how their infrastructure is, is leading their infrastructure is leading the evolution of crypto in a 401k. And so I think we'll start to see an Uphold, actually to the point where of market consolidation, or, as on other platforms, or if you go to CoinMarketCap, you see that there's, thousands and thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies. But I think when you go to an application like Uphold, where they only have 250 digital assets on their platform, I feel like that's almost like a peephole through into the future of which ones that are already preparing themselves for this new world and that actually provide real world utility. So I think we'll see prominent players make it to the top. Those that are gonna, those that provide any utility are gonna go bye-bye. And we're gonna see new use cases that like similar to ETFs around Bitcoin. We'll see it around different assets, or like Brad has mentioned, Brad Garlinghouse in various interviews, we'll see baskets. We're already seeing companies like Uphold roll out basket type of products on their platform, where you can get exposure into multiple assets by one single click. We're seeing Link2 do the exact same things, getting exposure in multiple pre-IPO or companies that are on path to a liquidity event in one swift click. And this is leveraging those, I believe, leveraging some of those really interesting techs. And so where this market is going is up and to the right. How far up and to the right is to be determined. But just look at past performance and previous market cycles. It'll just help you grasp the direction of where we're going, and understand that this technology is not going backwards, it's only going forwards. And Rosie Rios has said many times, the train's left the station. And so I don't want to say it's now or never for those listening, but it's the window of opportunity to get exposure in these assets at these price points is only going away. And so That's really it. I can't speculate on where the price is going because I have no idea, but I can only I can only say that, you know, if we're at 60 grand a day with Bitcoin and we're at a what, $2 trillion market cap, Jeremy Allaire in a recent interview said that they plan on, I think, they think stable coins will be a $3 trillion market. I don't know if he said by 2030, but ultimately even Circle has processed since they launched USDC. It was, I want to say by last year in December, they said that they had processed more than $12 trillion in transactions since the inception of USDC. So now, I mean, just imagine how much they've processed today and how much they're going to process by 2030 and with the approval of the stablecoin regs. And so, to your point, this is still relatively early for the industry, but again, prices won't be this low for much longer, especially as things get institutionalized and the big money is entering the fold or entering the market with these new and emerging vehicles like ETFs and allowing more or new behaviors from various communities of investors to gain exposure into this asset without actually holding the asset itself. And so I think these are just going to be new use cases and opportunities or vehicles, whatever you want to call it, for people to play in this arena. And that's only going to drive adoption and growth for this asset class.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And what I want you to do as we get out of here, our final thoughts, over 1,000 as we approach 1,100 people live on X and on YouTube. Appreciate you guys in a major way. Thank you for your incredible support. Make sure you guys check us out tomorrow. And that is with Graham Glam. We've got an exciting show, plus Friday with Ladies Night featuring Linda P. Jones, Molly Elmore, and more. And then next week, we've got the one and only Quincy over from XTC, Foundation. And then we'll follow that with Linda P. Jones. We got an incredible next couple weeks, guys. Shouts out to my man, Ray, for being on the show. Ray, what are some final thoughts that you have as you walk out? You could talk about your channel that's coming up, whatever it is. Just a few more thoughts for the people that are watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my channel is just a place where you can go and get some real-time early alpha from those leaders within the space. You know, as you have Quincy Jones coming up next week, or Linda P. Jones. I mean, these are. I'm fortunate to be in the same circles as you, and I'm going to be posting some of those I'd say very interesting conversations and interviews, particularly as recent from the XRP Las Vegas conference, and then also just content from going out into the field. I love to get out into get in the trenches, brush elbows, and throw a microphone in people's faces. And so that's kind of where I reside. And I plan on focusing my efforts in regards to my channel. So hopefully individuals like you and DEI and Brad pick up on some of that, those efforts while I'm out in the field and echo that to their communities of practice. But because ultimately, you know, nobody's doing that right now as far as getting out in the field and using a cell phone to I shouldn't be giving all my tricks away. but ultimately that's where I aspire to go and the content I produce. So make note that this week I'll be posting an interview with J. Christopher Giancarlo, former CFTC chairman, also author of Crypto Dad and founder of the Digital Dollar Foundation. And so I'll be posting that here shortly. But other than that, I appreciate you allowing me to share my thoughts and my perspective in regards to these new and emerging asset class or crypto as a whole, as an ecosystem and trends. This has been a lot of fun and very inspiring. You operating this live stream is really impressive, James.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your kind words and definitely all the things that you're doing. And you better believe when you start putting that content out, I'm sharing it. And I'm sure many others that recognize your channel will do the same. Also, shouts out to Crypto OG for putting out Ray's YouTube channel. It's right there in the link, guys, for those of you guys who want to check it out. Definitely appreciate all you guys, almost 1,100 people here that are live. We'll appreciate you, Ray Fuentes. Guys, make sure you follow my brother. Go over to his YouTube page. We'll appreciate you guys in a major way. We'll see you guys, Mayan. And until next time, it's your boy James, aka 6HA. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, James.
Peace.